it is my pleasure and privilege to call on the speaker for Sai Dev Talks session number 10, a small milestone in our long journey in endeavor to showcase excellent people who have done remarkable contribution to the society in facilitating their own development and for the benefit of the larger citizens of this country and elsewhere. So today we have Shri Shivanand Nayak. He is a noted alumnus Shri Satisai Institute of Higher Learning, Prashanti Nilayam, Puttaparthi, the Janma Bhumi and Karma Bhumi of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. He was there for the years 1983 to 1986. As you would all have noticed in the he is a psychologist as well as a trained graphologist. So without having to spend too much time introduction, we are going to commence the conversation with the speaker. So welcome Shri Shivanand Nayak ji to Sadhak Talks session number 10.
Sairam Manoj and Sairam to everybody.
Yeah. So let me open this conversation. It's going to be question and answer based. And of course, we will have occasion for even the to ask us questions towards the end. We will allocate about 15-20 minutes. The audience will be to ask questions at that point of time. So your introduction is that you are a psychologist and a trained graphologist.
Yeah.
So are these coexisting paths? How did these two come together?
Okay. See, when you study psychology, we don't learn graphology as an additional subject. Graphology is learned separately. In fact, the faculty of psychology has a lot of questions with regard to graphology. Many psychologists don't consider graphology as a valid science itself. Okay, but then there are a good number of psychologists who have learned graphology, applied it in their practice, and they have been able to help their clients immensely. So they do go in hand, but unfortunately, probably we cannot juxtapose. We say that graphology and psychology can be compared. It's not like comparing apples. One is an apple, another may be an orange. But when you understand the basic concepts, there are 2-3 aspects that we need to understand here. One is getting to know about the mental health or psychological issues a person might be going through. Second is providing the solutions to that. So we have a large community which learns graphology who are from non-psychology background. So they may be able to give you a very good analysis of the writing. But when it comes to providing solutions, they may not be competent enough in terms of handling those clients. So yes, learning graphology and psychology can complement each other beautifully, provided you know how to actually apply them or smoothly transition from this to that. That becomes very crucial.
Interesting. While it said that you're a psychologist and a trained graphologist, so who
Yes.
exactly shaped your training?
Okay.
To know.
Okay. In fact, the first part of my training, the initial part, was from Bangalore itself. I learned it from a person called Mr. Rafiullah Bey. And of course, I have no qualms to say that. Yes, he marketed it very well, fairly competent in terms of the analysis part. But then when it comes to deeper analysis, trying to understand the psychological perspective, that's something which I found was missing, and that's where I started looking for a more competent or more qualified person who could teach me or give me insights into graphology. And that is where I got to lay my hands on a material by a lady, Dr. Erica Carros, who is from US. She's a graphologist and also a PhD holder in industrial psychologist. She got her graphology training from Germany. Because even today in France and Germany, graphology is in vogue. People study this as a subject. They go even to the doctoral level. They do deep research in graphology. So I could lay my hands on her material, and I learned it from Miss Erika Carros. Uh, but here again, one limitation that I had was, as I told you, she was a PhD holder in industrial psychology, and her application of graphology was more on those lines. Now, especially in terms of recruitment, fitment of people, group analysis. So it helped me in terms of learning a lot of things, compatibility and things like that. But the orientation was slightly different because I was dealing mostly with the adults those days. Then slowly I shifted to children.
It's quite interesting, right? Different rivers merge into the ocean. So you have gathered the nuggets of wisdom from different reputed gurus of graphology, and you have it further through your own practice and research. So when we hear the word graphology, what comes to mind is handwriting. But you seem to have extended it to mind writing. So what is the difference between
Okay.
this handwriting and mind writing?
Yes, in general parlance we use the term handwriting, but in reality, where does this handwriting come from is what we need to understand. As we practice our writing, we find that there is a fine coordination that is developing between the muscles of your hand and your brain. And as you write, we find that it gets connected to your subconscious. So, as a graphologist, what we study is the movement of the pen and its relevance to the thought process of the individual. So, specific movements can represent a specific a thought process, or we call them as personality traits. So, once you understand this, you can go deeper into the understanding of the behavior. So that is where we say, I mean, if I have to give you example in layman terms again, many of us have learned riding a bicycle, and we would have learned to ride that bicycle probably at the age of 6, 7 or 8, and our body was very small at that point of time. But even after 20, 30 years, if you give a bicycle to the individual, they will still be able to ride. So who learned the bicycle riding? Was it the body or the mind? It is the mind which learns through the body, and the mind knows how to manipulate the body to ride the bicycle irrespective of the age and time factor. Similarly, handwriting also gets etched in your subconscious, and when you write, you find that your subconscious thought process is getting expressed automatically. There was another beautiful experience where post-Vietnam War, soldiers who lost their limbs were taught to write using alternative limb or prosthesis. And once they gained adequate proficiency in writing, it was seen that their writing started matching with their old handwriting. Now, how does this happen? So this is where the connection between the subconscious mind and the writing comes. So that is where for me, whether you use the hand, you use your foot, or whichever part of your body you have used to write, it still represents, provided it is proficient enough. You have adequate expertise in writing with that particular level. And we know people who are ambidextrous. But then there will be a difference with the non-normal hand of writing. If my natural hand of writing is right, and if I write with left, there will be a slight difference. One of the classic cases we study during our learning time was handwriting of Mahatma Gandhi, because he was ambidextrous. And there was a difference between the two writings. Subsequently also I've got to see a lot of handwritings, especially people who used to write with the left hand and then forcibly made to write with the right hand. And today they can write with both hands. They're not so comfortable with the left hand, but in terms of expression, it is seen that they're more comfortable with left hand. So these are very interesting observations that you get to see.
So this is nice. So the source code sits in the brain, mind, conscious entity, and hand is just an instrument to bring it
Yes.
to expression.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. So when we to analyze handwritings, right? So what part of handwriting do you analyze? People when they're bored in a class, they scribble back of their notebook. Sometimes
Yes.
they write seriously.
Yes.
when they are writing a greeting, there's a lot of feeling. So,
Yes.
what are the handwriting impressions that are important for you to analyze? Yeah, from a diagnostic point of view.
Uh, Beautiful question, I would say. Basically, because when we talk about graphology, the scope is quite vast. There is drawing analysis in this, there is doodle analysis in this, and then, of course, the handwriting analysis in this. So, when we talk about handwriting, what we are looking for is the subconscious writing. Now, anybody who has good control over their handwriting can manipulate the writing, and that definitely can mislead the graphologist. So, what we normally do is we try to put them off in the sense that we give them a dictation, vary the speed. The dictation will be in lines of some story which is funny, so their attention is diverted towards the story rather than the writing, so that we are able to get the subconscious writing. But doodles are usually subconscious. For example, you are speaking over phone, you get a pen in your hand and there is a writing pad there, and you start scribbling on the pad over there. And these doodles can easily be analyzed again. It requires a slightly different kind of expertise to analyze doodles. Okay. And when it comes to handwriting analysis, we look into 16 factors. Okay, and some of these factors are like slant, size, the writing pressure, connected and unconnected writing, or the simplification, what we call as rhythm, speed. So there are a lot of factors which includes the signature also. So totally 16 factors are looked into, and I have learned another methodology also called as the stroke trait method, wherein we understand individual pen movements as specific thought processes. So this process gives deeper insights and requires minute observations. Yet it is seen to be quite accurate in terms of detecting certain finer aspects of an individual's thought process.
So you mentioned about nature, and I also recollect when to your office to prepare for this meeting, you were saying sometimes the handwriting, what we write, right, when we are very conscious, it
Hmm.
appears different. When we do it in the natural flow, it appears different. You were telling me about the fact that sometimes it projects our existing self, and sometimes it conveys our projected self. Can you tell us what is this actual self, projected self, and how is it connected to the handwriting?
Okay. Now, when we collect the handwriting sample, what we do is we give them a dictation of at least about 15 lines. And then we ask them to sign 3 times or 4 times, and then write their name in full capital letters. Okay. Now, the main body of writing or the dictation that we have given is the actual personality. The signature is the projected personality. Now, I want you to understand few things. When you sign, you have formed your signature at a very early stage of your life, maybe late teens, when you're completing your graduation or something like that. And at that point of time, you are trying to project yourself to the world. So that is where we say signature is the projected personality. You still are not known to the world. You are trying to show yourself, this is who I am. And based on various aspects, we try to understand what is that you are trying to project. And even this signature gets refined over a period of time. But every time you sign there, there is a conscious component. You want to sign in a particular manner, and you want people to see that signature in a particular manner. So this is the projected personality. The actual text and the signature put together gives us a complete picture. Where are you coming from and what you are at present? And this is where I want to inform the viewers that handwriting cannot predict the future. Often this question comes, is this something like astronomy or astrology where you predict things? No, handwriting doesn't predict anything, but based on the clues, we may be able to give you that this is the direction in which you are going. So if they need to make changes, probably we'll guide
So,
them
you
in
know,
that direction. Yes, please go ahead.
so I'm sure by now the listener quite curious to know. Can you actually show some sample, reveal the magic that is, that you practice. So I want to tell the
Yes.
viewers that please check the window. I will keep sharing some pictures in the chat window, which
Yes.
the speaker will also refer. I have shared a picture in the window titled as slide3.jpg. The listeners can refer to the same. So tell us what
Yeah.
exactly stroke, slope, slant, curves, what do they reveal?
So, viewers, if you can see the picture which was shared in your chat box here, messages box, you can see this is a handwriting of an individual who is 42-year-old and who has done his MBA. Now, if you look at the writing, it looks so shabby. Now, I spoke about the slant, I spoke about the size, I spoke about the uh, speed and various aspects. Simple observations can tell you certain things here. For example, if you look at the first line, word number 4, that, T-H-A-T, the T in the beginning looks straight and the T at the end looks to the right. Can you make that out? So in certain places you can find the handwriting looks slanting to the left or looking straight, and in a few places it also looks slanting to the right. Now this is called as irregular slant, and the slant represents the way the writer handles his emotions. So when you have a variation in the slant, it's an indication that the person is unpredictable to himself. He is not very sure how he is going to handle his emotions. It's actually a pointer to a problem. This individual is going through some emotional challenges, and thereby you find that at times he becomes totally silent, at times he becomes quite expressive, and people at the receiving end are always confused. They really don't know how this person is going to react in a given situation. And the writer himself is not very predictable that way because he himself doesn't understand why am I doing this. Similarly, if you look at the word aptitude, you can see two, three places he's making corrections in the beginning. Attitude and aptitude, two words in the line 6. Okay, so the writer is in a hurry, the mind works too fast, he's not able to control his thought process, even though it's a dictation, but he wants to write and finish it off fast, and then he ends up making mistakes. So he knows he's making mistakes and then he comes back to correct those mistakes. And in real life also it happens with him. Okay. If you can look at the word number 2 in line 5, my dream. The M at the last of dream, you can see is not measuring up to the size. So the M in line number 10, if I am right, I am motivated. You can see the M over there. So you can see a fluctuation in the size of the M's here. Not only M, many other letters, but these are some classic things that they literally come out of the writing. I mean, I am able to see that just like as if a cricketer looks at the ball thrown into him by the bowler. Okay, so we say that handwriting speaks to us many times. Okay, I mean, this is so prominent things that we get to observe on the first look itself. So Manoj, this is how we observe. There are so many factors that we can observe and make our conclusions.
So fantastic, right? For example, if the thermometer, I know what is my temperature. If I use a BP, I know what is my blood pressure. But very often, this handwriting analysis, this graphology is called as an open tool. What exactly is meant by naming it as an open tool?
Okay. Now, interestingly, as a psychologist, we use a lot of psychometry tools to measure specific things. Now, these are diagnostic tools for us. And every psychometry tool, when we frame the items or the questions over there, these are these are prepared keeping in mind a specific answer or a specific outcome out of it. when I say yes, when I say no, or in between. So whatever is the answer given by the individual, we we know what is to be inferred out of it. So any given psychometry tool, we know exactly as to what it is going to measure. When it comes to handwriting, there is no such standardization there. Only when you look at the writing based on the different signals and the competency of the analyst there, because we need to pick up the signals, bring them together, and try to make a picture. So this is where you don't know what is going to come out of that handwriting. Nothing to expect from that writing, as we say. Only after we see the writing, we slowly start making a picture out of it. And every time we see a specific signal, if I'm in doubt, I may talk to the writer, get a concurrence whether my observation is right or not. And put together, we find that it leads to a specific behavioral pattern. So that is why handwriting is an open tool. There is no standard part of this writing is going to be like this. No. Second thing is, whatever experiences you have gone through, if it is remaining in your subconscious, only then it will get reflected in the handwriting. I would like to share a small incident here. I was to give a program on the radio, and the program director wanted to talk to me personally. He put 3 handwriting samples in front of me, and then he asked me, can you tell me which of these writings has suicidal tendency? Okay. Once I went through all 3 samples, I told none of these writings indicate of any suicidal tendency here. And that is when he told me that one of the writings, which was his own writing, he said, I had attempted suicide about 4 years back. I said, yes, 4 years back you might have been in that particular mindset, but today you have absolutely no thought of committing suicide. I asked him, is that right? He said, yes. So the writing reflects the present situation, not the past. But past experiences, if they have left behind a mark, there is a trauma, there is some specific experience which you are not able to overcome, it is still disturbing you, it is going to appear in your writing.
Definitely no secrets that can be hidden from a graphologist. Okay, so again, a common question that would come to most listeners. When I get something to do with my throat, cough and cold, I'll go to an ENT specialist. And similarly, something to do with toothache or some pain, I will go to my dentist. So when exactly should we seek out an appointment with a graphologist like you? What is the point?
Very interesting question. In fact, the way clients come to me is slightly different. Okay. For example, out of curiosity, people come and give their handwriting. And once I go through the handwriting, I'm able to make out certain things and I bring it to their notice. And that is when they come forward to work on themselves. Okay. We also conduct what are called as spot analysis or live analysis at different events. We conduct it ourselves. Sometimes we are invited. For example, we are invited on occasions like pre-wedding activities like mehendi and things like that. There we treat this as a fun activity, but we go back to the writer and tell them that these are some signals we are seeing, and we just need to now get a concurrence from you whether our observation was right. And once we speak about this, they open up and they say that yes, I am going through this. Will you be able to help me out? So this is another way. Third is when we go to schools, we collect children's handwriting, and this is a reflection. In fact, children's handwriting can also reflect their parental communication, the parental behavior also, because child is a victim of the environment. So impact of the environment can get reflected in the child's handwriting. But as individuals, see, you may not be able to understand your own writing, but if you feel that I'm going through some phase where I'm still not able to handle things properly, you can definitely go to a graphologist and get your handwriting checked, what it indicates of. So if you go to the right person, you will get the right guidance.
Fantastic. So I'm sure, right, with over 20, 30 years of experience, you would have seen thousands of clients. spanning across age group. I just want so so if we were to take a step back, do you see any trend in the mental health concerns across times? Like what were the things that used to be prominent before but are not now? But what are the concerns that are probably prominent now? Do you have a sense of the changing mental health scenario that people are going through?
Yes, yes. In fact, handwriting can be a beautiful tool in terms of detection and making this sort of mass surveys also, because this is a non-invasive tool. I had shared a couple of newspaper articles also, if you remember, wherein it talks about children having learning disabilities or problem with academics. In fact, we had conducted an extensive survey immediately after COVID, 2021 sorry, 2020 November, we started the survey. We collected about 5,000 handwriting samples from different schools, right from government school to CBSE and ICSE, the so-called upper class schools also. And we found that 48% of the students were going through emotional disturbances, because that 2 years of missing school had a tremendous impact on the children psychologically as well as academically. And interestingly, we found that about 3 months later, CBSE published its study. They had studied children from 7th standard up to 10th standard. Our age group was 5th standard to 10th standard. And the CBSE study reflected that 43% of the students had problems. So we had identified that 48% and CBSE said 43%. Now this is this thing where we did it in a mass scale. Second thing, when CBSE did this study, they were using questionnaires. Now questionnaires, it depends on the mood of the child when it answers. So there are, of course, we call them as life scores, where whether to take the answers on face value or not, but still it gives a fairly decent amount of accuracy. But involving the students, it takes a lot of time. Subsequently, processing also takes a lot of time. Whereas here in our study, for us, per child, for collecting the handwriting sample of a group of children, about 40 in a class, is about 30 minutes. So it is very efficient in terms of time taken also. So today we are using this in schools, where we collect the handwriting samples en masse. We give a report to the school telling that what are the different aspects a child is going through individually. Of course, the report is tabulated. This can be easily integrated with the LMS, learning management system of the school. Thereby, the teacher knows which child is going through emotional problems, which child is going through academic problems, which child may have relationship issues, specifically with the parents, problems like learning disabilities, deficit in IQ. So, a lot of things can be easily identified. We also help them to understand how to involve the child in the classroom activities. For example, if you want to have a debate in the class, which child probably would be best suited to lead the debate? So like this, you can understand the nuances from the handwriting also. One more aspect that we are seeing, of course, this is a psychological study, where they say that this generation, what we are seeing today, is actually intellectually lesser than or lower than the previous generation. And for the first time in human history, we are seeing the next generation actually being lower than in terms of intellect, lower than the previous generation. This is mainly happening because today's children are lacking stimulus. They lack a lot of physical activities, particularly which stimulate their hands and feet. For example, in our younger ages, we hardly used to wear footwear properly and we used to play in the mud. Same is true with our hands. We used to climb trees. So there is a lot of friction that used to happen in both these parts, and that stimulus is missing today, which leads to the underdevelopment of the brain activities also. One more study recommends that if a child is exposed to mobile phone within the first 12 to 15 months, that child is almost assured to get autism spectrum disorders. So when we talk about technology, lifestyle, these are impacting the children really in a very bad manner. Because yes, many of us here are parents, and I want parents to take note of this. Please avoid exposing your children to gadgets at an early stage. Give them a lot of physical activities, and these are the ones which are going to help your child to develop in all round manner than just the intellectual part of growth. I know this is a serious
Quite concerning what you share, and I can correlate.
yes.
Example, one of the news articles I read that the sports federations in countries are removing the synthetic tracks and encouraging children in schools and colleges to play on mud. Very nicely, what to ensure that
Yes.
the stimulus was there. While you covered about children, a lot about what are the kinds of diagnoses that you come across. Can you tell us what are the top three issues that you find in young adults and adults through your handwriting sessions? What are the top gaps or what are struggles that they are going through and that has jumped out of your analysis?
Okay, okay. I mean, this is where it gets interesting actually. These young adults seldom are ready to approach a psychologist. They are not ready to come, go to a psychologist or a counselor to take help. And often parents bring them with the rules. They say that he will look at your handwriting and tell you what course to be taken next, career choice or something like that. So that is how they come into my this thing. And once they give their handwriting, we know how to handle it. Naturally, of course, one of the most common confusions children have today is, of course, career, because they're spoiled for a choice, too many things happening, and they don't know what is what. So they lack clarity, and parents are often incompetent, if I can put that way, in terms of guiding the children. Even though they are educated, they may not be able to understand, because I look at it in three perspectives. One is the aptitude of the child, second is the attitude of the child, and third, of course, the skill part. Skilling, of course, we can do, but aptitude and attitude also become equally important when a child has to choose its career. So we put them through specific activities to address that. Second, because of the excessive pampering that happens by the parents. Now we give a lot of facilities to the child. The stimulation is less, the challenges are less, so the resilience part also is much less. So children are not ready to face challenges. I mean, one common this thing that we quote that we have in the psychologist parlance is that love at first sight and divorce at first fight. Because they don't know how to adjust, they don't know how to adapt to situations, how to make changes, how to accept people. So these are the challenges youngsters are facing today. Okay, and then comes, of course, when it comes to career part, and these are directly related to relationship and family values also, because India is known for its family values, and today, unfortunately, couple when they get married, they really don't know why they're getting married. And today we talk about setting couple goals, and before marriage we tell people, please work on these things. Even after marriage, when they come early, we do talk about setting couple goals, so that they have a plan for their own life, why they want to live together, what is that they need to achieve as a family or as a couple, and what they have. For example, before marriage they don't even discuss about kids, and after marriage, I mean, I had I think 4 cases in the last 2-3 months, where in one case the wife wants a child, the husband doesn't want, and in other case the husband wants but the wife doesn't want. Now, where is the family going today? So these are few challenges that we get to see on a quite regular basis. And this is one of my favorite pictures, basically because as parents, we have a lot of expectations, and the child has to bear with all those expectations. It's not only the parents, the society has expectations, the school has expectation, any institution you go, they have expectations. But nobody tries to understand what is the real crux or the core of that child. What is the child interested in? What is that child made for? If I have to give an example, my favorite example, if I can put that way, I tell parents that The child is like a plant which has been given to you by God. First, identify what plant it is. If it is a tulsi plant, you need to water it differently. If it is a coconut plant, you need to water it differently. They need a different kind of nourishment. And without knowing this, we try to explore the various possibilities for a child, which probably is not in tune with the nature of the child at all, which becomes burdensome to the child. And all this will get reflected as adult behavior later in the same child.
So it is quite amazing that all of this comes from just the handwriting. Can you tell us one or two instances of how you could catch the probably a marital relationship issue going on, and what kind of course of action was taken, and did it actually result in benefit to a couple? A story to recollect and share on that, or other?
Can you repeat the question again? I missed the center part.
Yeah. So based on a handwriting analysis, did you find how did you find an instance of any marital issues one, and what kind of steps were then? Any case studies to share with us relating to adult issues?
Okay. See, when we study handwriting, we also study the compatibility part if we have a couple in front of us. Okay. For example, we spoke about the slant in the earlier picture, and if the couple has similar slants, what kind of behavior can be expected? If they have different slants, what kind of different emotion or the behavior can be expected? For example, let us say if the husband's writing is vertical or looks straight on the paper consistently, and the wife's writing looks slightly to the right, it can indicate that the husband has a lot of control over his emotions. He is not very expressive, and naturally he would speak less. And wife with this rightward slant is a little more expressive. Naturally, she would speak more. And when the husband doesn't speak, she doesn't get the same kind of response that she expects, and feels that this man is silent. He's an introvert. He doesn't want to talk to me. Because her need is to talk. Okay, and this can lead to misunderstandings at times. The husband will be very objective in his outlook. He will be more practical, whereas the wife will be a little more emotional. And when we highlight these things, and we also tell them how we call it as style flexing. At least with the wife, can you change your behavior slightly differently? Because she has a need to talk, can you sit and talk to her, or listen to her at least? Give her time to express and sympathize with her. Because all that she needs is that. So we give them specific clues based on those indicators. For example, decision making is another major aspect. Some of them are quick thinkers, some of them are slow thinkers. When I say slow thinker, they're not necessarily slow thinker, they're process oriented. They need time to take decisions. Whereas a quick thinker is done with this decision making pretty fast. It can be a simple thing like going out for a dinner. If the husband is a quick thinker, he'd say, let us go here. Wife says, no, wait. No, can we go there? Can we go here? Now this man gets impatient. No, can be done with it once. Don't give me too many choices. Okay? And this can lead to an argument. So these small nuances.
So there are some. Yeah. So there's one question in the chat about criminals and how this can. Yes. Can you offer some response on that?
Wonderful. Yes, it's a beautiful question. Now, in terms of identifying criminal tendencies, yes, handwriting can indicate a lot of criminal tendencies. There are different aspects that can be observed. That is where a lot of forensic document examiners also learn graphology. So forensic document examiners are the legally authorized people who can give opinion on handwriting. But even there, they do not give a psychological profiling of the handwriting. It is only for their personal understanding, when they see specific signals, if there are criminal tendencies which are seen in the handwriting, that is when they will look at the other evidences that are available to them more critically and little more seriously, because there's a strong possibility. So in criminal cases, yes, but as far as opinion is concerned, psychological observations are not presented to the court.
Now coming to the solution part. Okay, we have done enough analysis of the handwriting. And what are the interventions? Once we find, is the intervention also got to do with writing, or is it something else?
Okay. Now, when it comes to intervention, I follow two methodologies. One, of course, I use the psychological methodologies because I'm a trained psychologist. So we have a lot of different theories like CBT, REBT, and things like that. So we may use any of those methods if it is possible. We explore that. We also can use handwriting as a tool here, and there again there are two ways. One is called as cybernetics, where we make the individual practice patterns to bring about certain specific changes. Even though the writing is generic in nature, the changes can be fairly predictable. The other one is called as the graphotherapy, which is where the individual strokes are changed. This methodology, according to me and my own experience, is quite risky in the sense that when you make small changes in the writing, they can easily upset the balance. Now, we all as an individual try to maintain an equilibrium with our environment. So, when you shift that equilibrium, the individual feels upset or imbalanced, and the environment around him also is going to react. So that is where you have to be extremely careful when you make changes in the strokes. Okay. But yes, cybernetics, when we use patterns, it is seen to be fairly, I would say, less risky, if I can put that way.
So come to one of your notable innovations, that is Likhita script Sadhana, right? Likhita Nama Sadhana, and you call it Japa for a reason.
Yes.
Nama Sadhana, you call. So this innovation, we know people writing Harinama, Rama, Sai Rama Nama, but you have done some innovations around it, and that is the USP of your approach. We want to know more about that.
Yeah. In fact, I used the word reinvention in the beginning itself because this is not something which I have invented. It has been gifted, if I can put that way. Okay. India traditionally has practiced writing Nama Japa for a very long time, for centuries today. And one of the inputs I got is, it was popularized by Samarth Ramdas ji, Guruji of Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, and in his work Dasbodha, he has mentioned about how handwriting should be in chapter 19 of Dasbodha. Okay, so when I started working on this, I felt a little more structured practice can be of greater benefit. Now, I picked a few inputs from psychology, few inputs from graphology, and then of course, any practice that we do in our scriptures, they say that you need to know what you're doing. With an understanding when you do it, the impact is going to be far better. So this is how the whole system was developed. So the psychological part here is, it also comes from graphology. When you write, the act of writing itself is cathartic. It actually helps you to relieve stress and anxiety. So we have as a practice journaling in psychology, which is recommended to a lot of individuals. Okay. Second, in Likhita Nama Japa or script sadhana, you can see that we have varied the size of writing. This helps in a particular manner. So we start with a larger size and end up writing in smaller size. Thereby the individual is able to get more and more focused. And accuracy of writing is very, very important here. Now, this helps you to make the practice completely engrossed in it, reaching a mindless state very fast. Today we are talking about mindlessness. And when you practice writing in a very specific manner, it can help you reach that stage pretty quickly. I have picked up inputs from Patanjali Yoga Sutra also, because this is a sadhana. So we have fixed certain number of days for this, number of times for this. Now script sadhana, when you do it as a vrat, it is for 48 days, which is a mandala. You are supposed to write 21 times. This number also has a significance. Okay, and when you write, automatically it becomes kaya vacha manasa. Our scriptures say whatever you do, it needs to integrate your thought, word, and deed. So writing is the deed. You write the mantra, automatically the mind, chants it, and the accuracy takes care that it becomes completely engrossed in it. So this is how the whole thing is integrated.
How long should one write this, right? Is it for meaning? Is it I till complete the book, or how do you decide how long should a person write script sadhana?
Okay. Interestingly, even though the book that I have designed is for 48 days, you complete one mandala. I have people who have been repeating the mandalas. In fact, I have done it myself. I would have written several mandalas myself. I have a person who has been writing since 2018. In fact, every year on 18th of April, I get a message from him saying that I have completed X number of years and these are my observations for the year. So yes, you see his testimony here. And this man was retiring from his job when I met him. He was very, very anxious and stressed as to how I'm going to spend the rest of my time. And he said, if once I start writing, will it help me? And I asked him to start writing. And from then on, he never looked back because he got involved in a lot of activities. And interestingly, he got into spiritual activities. He started chanting with us, and today he's invited for chanting. He sits with the Vaidics and chants it in such a beautiful manner. So this is what you get to see when people continue. So I have people writing just one book and stopping at that because they got what they wanted. And then there are people who have been writing. There are people who have completed 5, 6, 7 years.
So is this only for those who believe in God? Write the names of God like Rama, Krishna, Sai Rama, Shri. What if an atheist? Can he also have an opportunity at writing?
Okay. In fact, I got a lot of pressure from different quarters to make this secular. But I stuck on to this particular format basically because faith is something which can move mountains. So yes, if you are somebody who believe in God, who have that faith and trust in God, you can definitely use your Ishta mantra because we normally have an attachment to a particular form. So you can use your Ishta mantra. But somebody who is an atheist or who doesn't want to write it this way, we can give them positive assertions also. So I have used different assertions for helping people to work on this.
So Nithya has been asking, should the writing in English only, or can I write in Telugu, Hindi, Tamil, a little bit?
Yes. Language does make a difference. I have practiced myself in Devanagari, Kannada, English, as well as Odia script. Even though I don't know Odia, I practiced in Odia script. Okay, because the Odia script is very interesting. It's a Devanagari based script, but typical features of South Indian language, that is circles, are seen in Odia script. When somebody has anxiety issues, often the preferred language is South Indian or Odia. If somebody is going through a lot of depression, laziness, lack of motivation, probably Devanagari is a better script. Okay, sometimes yes, English also is used. At times I have made the choice based on increasing the difficulty level because that individual needs little more focus. So giving them a familiar language makes the writing a little more shabby actually. Because they write out of practice, not out of consciousness. So I give them a straight line. So I have a lot of North Indians who have written in Kannada. Okay, South Indians written. I mean, they don't know Tamil, but they can write in Tamil. So like this, yes, I have made those experiments and they work beautifully. I also see
So
that how
questions
to
have been there in the chat window with respect to how to beautifully, how to write fast, or advice for children to improve handwriting. Some
okay. Now, writing beautifully and fast. I mean, for me, there is nothing called as beautiful writing. It is legible or not legible, and how organized it is. When you pick up handwriting as a skill, you can definitely make it legible, quick, and better organized also. So you need to learn the skill of writing here. For example, many of us do not hold the pen properly. So there is a specific way of holding the pen, making those fine motor movements to form your handwriting. That makes it more efficient, easy to write, and less painful to the hand. Automatically, the speed also goes up. So you need to learn it as a skill. And children may do this actually. Children from 7 years up to 16 years go through what we call as handwriting skill training. And the primary activity there, of course, is providing the skill to the child, thereby the writing becomes better. And that is what the parents come to us for. But during the same time, we also identify whether the child has academic challenges. For example, children with learning disabilities, IQ problems, all these can get reflected in the handwriting. And based on that, we slowly sensitize the parent and motivate them to go for an assessment, and then of course the rest of the things follow.
So now going to come to the most interesting part of today's session, that is a live analysis. So those volunteers, I'm saying those listeners who are on session, if you want to volunteer now and here for a live analysis, please raise your hand or just messages on chat window. You will have to quickly take a pen and paper and write whatever is posted as a in the chat window and share back here. You be assured that no personal issues will be spoken. So Nithya, please go ahead. You have been identified as the volunteer today. Nithya and Divya, we would not have time for more. So please write and it to us.
Yeah, this will be first come
There
first
are more.
serve.
There are more hands showing up.
Yeah, I can see that.
We can take only two. Yeah, whoever submits first. But don't be in a hurry. Write calmly and make sure that you mention your name in capitals and sign below that.
You can see the pattern there. Once you finish the text part, you sign 2 or 3 times. Below that, you write your full name in capital letters, and then of course mention the date of birth.
Did you mention date of birth, sir?
I would rather prefer to have the date of birth, because handwriting does not reveal the age of the writer, and the age is a very important aspect for me to understand the maturity level of the individual.
Okay. So let's wait for the submission. So by now, how many books or how many people would have been inducted into this script sadhana? A rough number?
Script sadhana, I would have easily crossed about 2,000 people. More than 2,000 people would have been benefited by script sadhana. And in fact, one of the things that we did was studied the impact of script sadhana in cancer patients. So we had 53 patients enrolled over there in the first batch. And in the second batch, we had about 183 patients as well as patients' attendants. In the second round, we included patients, because they also go through a lot of stress and anxiety in handling the patients.
And what changes have you seen from either the patients or the attenders after they've started the sadhana?
Okay. When it comes to patients, the most important aspect, of course, is acceptance of their condition. Cancer patients refuse to accept that they have got this problem, and they blame God many times, and uh, because of which because of this non-acceptance, they do not cooperate in the treatment protocol also. But once they went through script sadhana, they came to an acceptance of their condition. They were more cooperative, less irritable, and naturally, this gave a lot of relief to the caretaker also. Similarly, even caretakers, who practice this, they were able to see the situation or accept the patient uh, in a much better manner. They were able to handle the patient in a more calm manner.
Divya seems to have submitted, but of course, signature is missing. The signed once. Would you like to
Yes.
do that in the interest of time?
Okay, in case of Divya, I see that there are no three signatures.
Yeah, I've requested her to sign and send it in a revised picture.
Right, because the text, see, number one, preferably it should be written on a plain sheet of paper. We discussed about the baseline, the writing going up and down. The moment you write on ruled sheets, this factor is automatically compromised. However, probably I can give a couple of highlights from this writing also.
Yes, please.
Okay. Uh, Okay, Ms. Divya, now your writing indicates to me that when it comes to handling emotions, you are a fairly controlled person because it looks almost straight on the paper. Okay. Second, your confidence levels are seen to be pretty good. You are a person who would look at possibilities than giving excuses. You are ready to take risks in life and set high goals for yourself. But at times you may also find that it is very difficult for you to convince people because they are not able to see the vision that you carry. This is where you will have to convince people before you put a step forward. You will find it difficult to do this. Often, when you try to convince, you may get into an argument because you're a person who enjoy actually arguing, and it also indicates that you will stick to your ideas, even though at times you are able to understand that uh, what you have in mind may not be 100% correct, but you would still like to stand by what you have said or what you want to do. So people might have called you stubborn many times. Be very careful with this. uh, the writing size indicates to me that you're a person who has excellent ability to focus. Anything that you want to concentrate upon, you can concentrate very well. Only thing is, off late, this capability has been lost slightly because you are involved in multiple things. If you have to go back to your school days or college days, because I can see your age factor here. So if you go back to your school or college days, you were so focused. No, typically, for example, if you're reading something, particularly novels and things like that which you are interested in, you would carry this book throughout. Now when you are sitting and eating, you still read. The book is not kept down at all. This is how focused you used to be during your early days. So these are few prominent things that I can observe from your writing, Divya. I'll be happy if you can put your observations or whether it was right or wrong in the comments.
Divya, we would like to hear from you. You can unmute and share yours.
Yeah, you can spell it out or you can probably.
Yeah, Divya has message. Yeah,
With that,
please try to unmute now. Able to unmute.
Hello.
Please try now.
yes, please, please
Yes,
go ahead.
sir. This was
Yeah, we can hear you, Divya.
absolutely correct. Yeah, it was spot on, especially about the book while eating and reading, and even the focus. I think it was absolutely right. And about losing focus off late also was absolutely right. So that was really surprising how you caught that part. Thank you. That was very interesting.
This is how accurate handwriting can be. The clues given by the handwriting are quite impressive, and yes, you can really go to the depth of it. Now, this is only a demonstration, if I can put that way. As I told you, when we collect a handwriting sample, we ask for at least 15 lines of writing, because we try to understand the consistency of writing, because human behavior is not something which is solidified. So what are the variations? What are the consistent behaviors? So we try to understand it in a much more deeper manner. Thank you for the
Thank you, sir.
feedback, Ms. Divya.
Thank you, sir. That was really on point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we are
One
close
more.
8 p.m. and that means
Yeah.
do you do one more, sir, or would we
Yeah.
share your
I would
contact
like,
details for them to connect you directly?
Manoj, I would like to take up one more, and that of Nithya, specifically with regard to the signature.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go
Uh,
ahead, sir.
yeah. With regard to the signature here, because if you look at the signature, Nithya has put the full Nithya Shri, full signature is put, and then you can see the K, which stands for Krishnamurti. Now, the N in Nithya Shri, okay, is written in lowercase, which is a classic indicator that Nithya tries to project a very humble picture of herself. Even though she has a good ego strength, she is not a person who would like to be slighted. She needs to be respected, and if people slight her, she doesn't like it. But when it comes to interaction with people, she tries to project a very humble picture. Okay. The second part, as I told you, the K stands for Krishnamurti. I don't know whether it is her father or husband. Okay. Um, it's an indication that probably with this person she has a conflict. There is a need for attention from this person. This is what I can make out from Nithya's signature. The main body of writing indicates that uh, in her upbringing, okay, constantly she was being guided. The parents were there for her, or they insisted on what do you say, monitoring her activities. So unless there is an approval from the parent, she was not allowed to go ahead, and this has impacted her writing today. Nitya, can you please validate whatever I said was right on this?
Um, I'm speechless because that's spot on. I've always wanted to have the approval of my parents, and Krishnamurti is my father, and and yeah, he's also played a great, a lot in my life. So yes, so his opinion also matters for me, and that's absolutely true on the humble part, as well as I get slighted when I don't get that respect. So that was beautifully represented. Thank you so much for picking this up. uh, I'm mind blown.
Thank you, Nitya, for the feedback. I have a
Thank you.
small suggestion.
Yes.
Are you into theatre or acting or something like that?
No, I used to during school, but yeah, not anymore.
I would suggest you something. May not be as a profession or a serious interest, but
Okay.
involving in this activity can help you a lot.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank thanks for the feedback once again. And as I was mentioning, yes, this is how handwriting can give a lot of insights about an individual. Uh, Especially with children, of course, that is one area of interest because they have the entire future in front of them. And if we can help them at the right time, to shape their personality becomes much easier. We can guide the parents in terms of what should be their parenting style and how they can help the child flourish as an individual. Because today we are talking about all-round growth of a child. Apart from the academic part, yes, as a social being, as a spiritual being, it is very important that the child has a all-round development, and this can be facilitated by the parents only and only parents. You can't expect this to come from the school or from the society at large. So yes, this is something which I am interested in doing, and that is where I moved out from the corporate training world to this particular activity, and today work with schools, children, parents quite a lot. Yeah, probably one last question before we close. We still have 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think we have done with the session. But since I said one last question, anybody wants, I have shared contact details. Please message him before you try to reach out so that he knows when you are expecting a call. And clearly, science works. So when I went to Sir's office, I took the live session, and needless to say, like how Divya and Nithya experienced, my mind was blown away. So I think with Shivanand Nayak ji, there are no secrets whatsoever. Fantastic. So I think no further questions, sir. So I would want you the last words for this session, uh, and with after that we will conclude this session. Yes.
So before we say goodbye, probably I would like to express my gratitude to Manoj, who relentlessly pursued and made this happen. It is a wonderful platform. It is a wonderful exposure also for me. For the first time, I'm on Sai Dev Talks. I definitely expect that this reaches out to more people through the YouTube channel also, with the sole intention and expectation that yes, people are helped with their own handwriting, because this is something where you do not have to spend money. You sit at home and write, it helps you. That is where I have coined the slogan, like, walk a mile every day for a fit body and write a while every day for a fit mind. And today, even the government recognizes that mental health challenges are increasing, given the lifestyle, given the pressures that we go through today. And a simple exercise like writing can help you maintain your mental health. Okay, there is a specific mention here, special children who cannot write but write letters, can we make out anything? When we say special children, I would like to know what kind of, for example, autistic seldom tend to write, and unfortunately they do not have a flow in writing. So the writing is a conscious effort for the child every time. Even then, at times maybe there can be some reflections that we are able to make out. Probably I may not be able to promise completely, yet it may reveal few things when we look at the writing.
So Deepthi, who asked this question, she runs a Center for Children with Special Needs in Bombay.
Yes.
The Muskan Foundation. She's the founder. I will connect both of you so that she should take help from you for her children's overall developmental needs.
Yes. So I have had.
So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I've had children with spectrum disorders wherein we have trained them, but they were able to write. But there are children who probably are not able to write, where we can train them to an extent, but may not be the complete distinct outcome can be expected over.
Yeah. So heartfelt thank you to everybody who has joined. This session will be duly edited and uploaded on YouTube. Spread the word about Sai Dev Talks, and see you soon for our next Sai Dev Talks on yet another topic. Thank you again, and heartfelt thanks to Shivanand Nayak ji for this much
Thank you very
session.
much.
Sai Ram,
Thanks to all the
thank you to
viewers,
everybody.
everybody who had joined today. And thanks to Manoj once again. Thank you, everyone.